Today is Monday, April 6th, and for a Monday slate, the fixture list is unusually rich. There is depth in the Netherlands, Italy, and England. There are promotion races, playoff pressures, top four battles, and a few matches where the surface level price tells only part of the story. So this card was not built by just reading odds and picking favorites. The first shortlist came from the numbers. Expected goals, 1x2 probability splits, base market direction. Then each match went through a second pass. Form, motivation, squad clarity, tactical context, public market tone, and match state risk. The final list only kept the games where that second pass supported the same angle, or at least did not materially weaken it. So let's go match by match. We start in the Netherlands. ADO Den Haag against FC Eindhoven. The model makes a very strong statement here. It projects expected goals at 2.47 to 0.89. The 1x2 split is 71.5 for the home win, 17.4 for the draw, and just 11.1 for the away win. That is not a marginal edge. That is a clear home side signal. Now the important part is whether the non-price layer agrees, and mostly, it does. ADO come into this match first in the table. Eindhoven are around 10th. That matters in two ways. First, it reflects a real difference in season-long level. Second, it creates a motivational edge. ADO are not playing a casual home game. They are protecting a promotion-grade position, and teams in that spot tend to approach these matches with more urgency and more control. The head-to-head context also leans toward the side from The Hague. That does not decide the match by itself, but it helps support the model's conclusion that this is not an evenly balanced fixture. There is one caution here. Public team news visibility is thinner than it is in some of the bigger leagues, so the risk is not, really, the broad shape of the game. The risk is late lineup noise or Dutch second-tier volatility creating a more chaotic script than the model expects. But the core logic stays intact. The model sees a large XG gap and a dominant home probability. The independent layer supports that through table position, incentive, and structural matchup. So the final call is ADO Den Haag to win. Next comes Venezia against Juve Stabia. Here the model again points clearly toward the home side, but in a more measured way than ADO. The projected XG is 1.83 to 0.76. The 1x2 split is 62.2 for Venezia, 23.4 for the draw, and 14.4 for Juve Stabia. So the first pass conclusion is clear. Venezia should be favored at home. Then the second layer comes in. Venezia are first. Juve Stabia are seventh. That tells us two things at once. The home side has the stronger season profile, but the opponent is not weak enough to ignore. That is important, because it changes how the pick should be described. This is not really an easy home win type of match. It is a supported home win angle in a serious, competitive fixture. Venezia have more pressure, but also more clarity. They know exactly what they are protecting. That tends to matter at this stage of the season, especially at home, where a top side usually tries to impose order early rather than let the game drift. Public preview tone broadly leans toward the home side as well, but not in an overblown way. That is actually a good sign. The market supports Venezia, but without the kind of hype that can make a favorite overpriced in narrative terms. So the model likes Venezia because of the XG edge and the stronger win probability. The second layer likes Venezia because of league position, match importance, and the broader structure of the matchup. The one thing that keeps this from being a maximum strength play is that Juve Stabia are still good enough to keep the margin tight. This feels more like a controlled home win than a runaway result. So the final call is Venezia to win. Now we go to Turin, Juventus against Genoa. This is one of the best examples of a match where the second pass changes the tone, but not the side. The model sees Juventus as the rightful favorite. It projects expected goals at 1.94 to 0.83. The 1x2 split is 62.8 for Juventus, 22.4 for the draw, and 14.7 for Genoa. So from a pure numbers perspective, Juventus belong on the shortlist. But once the second layer is applied, the message becomes more precise. Juventus have major motivation here because of the Champions League race. That supports the pick. Recent history in the matchup also leans toward the bianconeri. That supports the pick. 2. Where the outside layer becomes useful is in the way it frames the likely script. It supports Juventus winning, but it does not support treating them like a carefree, high-margin favorite. That distinction matters. The smarter reading is not that Juventus are about to overwhelm Genoa, The smarter reading is that the stronger team, with the stronger incentive and the more stable floor, still has enough to get the job done, even if the performance is more workmanlike than spectacular. There is also a tactical element here. Juventus look more reliable when their defensive structure is settled. That means the path to this pick is less about fireworks and more about control. A lower-risk home script. Fewer defensive mistakes, enough attacking quality to edge the match. So the model likes Juventus because the XG split and probability split favor them clearly. The second pass agrees, but narrows the interpretation. Not a glamour spot, a pressure spot, a disciplined favorite, a likely home result, even if it is tighter than the badge names suggest. So the final call stays Juventus to win. Fourth on the card is Lecce against Atalanta. This is the away selection, and analytically, it is one of the cleaner matches on the board. The model projects expected goals at 0.78 for Lecce and 1.59 for Atalanta. The 1x2 split is 17.64. The home win, 26.5 for the draw, and 55.8 for the away win. So the first pass message is simple. The visitors have the edge. Then the second layer comes in, and instead of weakening that idea, it mostly supports it. Atalanta enter with the stronger competitive profile. Lecce are operating much closer to the wrong end of the table. That means the quality gap is real, but the emotional volatility is real too. This is where the match becomes interesting. Relegation threat teams are dangerous because they can play beyond their baseline for one afternoon. They can turn the game into a fight. They can force the favorite into an uncomfortable emotional match rather than a clean technical one. But that risk does not erase the underlying edge. Atalanta still have the stronger structure, the better attacking projection, and the more convincing baseline quality. The external read also leans toward a game that Atalanta can control without needing it to become wide open. That matters because it fits the model. The model is not calling for chaos. It is calling for a superior away side to generate the better chances and translate that into a result. So the final interpretation is this. The model likes Atalanta because of the superior XG shape and stronger win probability. The second pass agrees because the visitors bring more quality and a cleaner structural profile. The main risk is not football quality. It is home desperation and emotional variance. Even with that, the away side remains the correct lean. So the final call is Atalanta to win. And now the last leg, Notts County against Newport County. This one is less glamorous than the Serie A names, but from a structural point of view, it is one of the cleaner picks on the card. The model projects expected goals at 1.70 to 0.78. The 1x2 split is 58.6 for the home win, 25.1 for the draw, and 16.3 for the away win. So the first pass conclusion is a clear home edge. Then we check whether the wider context supports it. Notts are sitting around 4th. Newport are down near 22nd. That is a serious table gap, and unlike some matches where the standings can be misleading, here it matches the broader read of the teams. Notts have the better season profile, the better home setup, the more stable competitive level, and the stronger reason to trust them in a match like this. There is one area where the outside layer becomes slightly more complicated. Some of the broader goals sentiment around the fixture suggests the match could be less tidy than a pure control script. In other words, the stronger home side might still concede, or the game could become more open than the model's lower scoring shade suggests. But that does not really hurt the main pick. It just tells us that the right angle is the side, not the total. This is important. A match can be slightly messy and still be correctly priced toward the stronger home team. And that is what we have here. So the model likes Notts because of the superior expected goal profile and stronger win probability. The second pass supports that through table position, home-away contrast, and the general trust gap between the two teams. The risk is the usual one for this level. Lower league swings, survival urgency from the underdog, and a game state that gets a little loose, but the side itself still holds. So the final call is Notts County to win. And that leaves us with the full primary card. ADO Den Haag to win, Venezia to win, Juventus to win, Atalanta to win, Notts County to win. That is the final list, a first shortlist built from the numbers, then narrowed through team context, competitive pressure, form, tactical logic, and matchday risk. Not every pick has the same type of strength. Some are cleaner, some are tighter, but each one stayed on the card because the second pass supported the original direction instead of breaking it. For a Monday slate, that is enough to build a serious coupon around.